Welcome everyone to another episode of Indie Hangout. I am Pneumatics. You may know me over on YouTube or over on Twitch with an extra X at the end. I am joined, of course, by my amazing co-hosts, Maz and Kronos. What's up, guys?
What's going on, guys? Maz from Maztech Gaming over on YouTube, Maztech_gaming on Twitch.
How's it going, everybody? OSOK Kronos here. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch at OSOK Kronos.
Nice. All right, guys. So we should definitely let our listeners know before we continue throughout this episode is that we are changing up our format a little bit. So we used to usually go at a sweet spot about an hour and a half for our episodes. We're going to be bringing it down to about a half hour, if we can, to about 40 minutes, depending on what we got in store for the episodes and depending on if we are interviewing devs. So with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the episode. So in this episode, it's episode, by the way, guys, 25. Already 25 in.
What? 25.
Man, that's about the time I felt like I finally had my head on my shoulders in life, and I was like, man, I need to do something, and like fast.
I still had like another 2 or 3 years to go before I got to that point.
Oh yeah. So in today's episode, we're going to talk a bit about procedural generation. And you can kind of think of it as exploring a world that's ever changing every time you play it. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners have played many games that had procedural generation in it. And it could be as small as the levels changing. It could be as small as the items changing in the game every time you open up a chest. And it could be as big as the entire game changes every time you play it. And more specifically, when it comes to indies, we're trying to figure out, is it one of the best game changers or is it just a quick shortcut? So for instance, let's go right into it, right? I wanted to showcase some case studies when it comes to different games. And one of them, our listeners probably already know we're going to jump into. But before that one, we have one called Dwarf Fortress. So this game, I don't know if Maz, Kronos, if you guys have seen this game before, have you?
No. A little bit of it.
Okay. So this game generates entire worlds with history, geology, and biomes. It proves that procedural generation can create depth and not just breadth. So the game itself, here's the little snippet of it. It's the deepest, most intricate simulation of a world that's ever been created. The legendary Dwarf Fortress is now on Steam. Build a fortress and try to help your dwarves survive against a deeply generated world. So when you're looking at it too, it really is super plain and simple, top down, almost arcadey like, definitely old school looking, and it's got overwhelmingly positive reviews. So it must be a pretty decent game. Just quick question to you guys, when you're looking at this and you're looking at like procedural generation in games in general, is it something that like excites you when you go to get a game? You're like, oh, like it's got procedurally generated dungeons, or it's got procedurally generated, whatever. Is this something that you actually are interested in? Kind of like people who get really interested in roguelite games and stuff like that?
Ooh, for me, I'll be honest, I've never really played many of these games.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's why I'm like sitting here looking, I'm like, I don't think I've really played a game that like, is this deep into the generation stuff for game levels.
Gotcha. How about you, Miss?
I'm a big fan of procedural generated games because it keeps it fresh. It changes it up. It's not really ever going to be the same twice. And, I think of, and you were kind of laughing and chuckling about this before we started recording. We know what's coming up, and we're talking about No Man's Sky, right? So the crazy thing about No Man's Sky is that there are so many planets out there that you are able to, that will procedurally generate. They don't exist when you're playing the game until you approach it. You have to go into a certain system. But you can go to every single, you can't, but you could play this game your entire life from the moment you're born to the moment you die, and you will never touch every planet that's out there, ever. And that's the scary thing. It's procedural generation is a great way to keep the game fresh because you go do something once, and then maybe another time you go back to that same area, and it's not the same area twice, which is cool. Or it might be the same area, but it's going to have different enemies or a different situation. Lots of really cool things. There's all kinds of different procedural generations as well. I'm going to use an example of Assassin's Creed 4. they came out with a system called the Horizon system, which was procedurally, well, it was designed to procedurally generate conflicts in the naval battles, whether it be rescuing pirates or fighting against other ships or stealing or getting in conflict on land with some of the guards. It created different side quests that didn't necessarily exist in any other instance but your own. So I think it keeps it fresh. It keeps you coming back. It helps with that replayability.
Yeah, dude, I 100% agree. I'm on board with this. I love procedurally generated anything and to a point, right? As long as it has some thought put into it, because let's be honest, it helps indies tremendously. Imagine No Man's Sky without procedural generation. They would have taken a lot longer to create their game, and it wouldn't even be to the scale, even a pinch to the scale it is today, with everything in it.
Yeah.
There is a bit of back and forth with this, with, some people might be like, it's not a really handcrafted world, and you just use procedural generation in order to make it easy to bring depth to your world and whatever. And I would disagree. Like for me, my first game, Upjumper, was procedurally generated to a point. So the levels were procedurally generated on the way up. So and all it was is that we wanted to make it as easy as possible to handcraft the levels, but at a certain point, make it so that, oh my gosh, this is getting crazy. We need something to put in place to just do it for us the way we want. And once we did that, it was so much easier. And then it was nice because every time we played our own game, it was always different. It was always different when you went into the level, and it wasn't always clean cut and dry every time you jumped in. Like if you jumped into the first level, the first world of a Super Mario game, right? You play that level over and over, and it's always going to be the same. The enemy's always going to pop up in the same spot. The pipes are always going to be in the same spot and all that, which is fine. That's fine. But I think nowadays people want that procedural generation in the game, even if they don't really know what it is. Because think about it this way, like for No Man's Sky, and Kronos, you've played No Man's Sky, right?
No.
You
No, no,
haven't?
No, remember we talked about this.
I can't,
yeah.
dude. I couldn't
You
remember.
still haven't?
I still have, dude.
Dude.
There are so many games I haven't played.
We love you anyway, brother. We love
Yeah.
you anyway.
So procedural generation in No Man's Sky is amazing. I love it because they've handcrafted every single item and animals and the AI in those games, right? But they have procedural generation take all of that and throw it out in randomness. It's kind of like the biggest random generator you can think of, big scale, with how they did it in No Man's Sky. And the same goes for even for Minecraft. Minecraft procedure generated worlds. Every time you jump into a Minecraft world, it's a different seed and it's generated differently, right? So I think that's why people like it, because you think about it, whenever you play Minecraft, what's the most exciting thing to do? Open up a new world. Oh my gosh, now we get to explore. What kind of biomes do we have? What kind of big caves are over here, over there? Same for No Man's Sky. Every time you jump in, you're going to another area, and it's, what kind of planets are around this star? Oh, now I can go over here. What kind of planets are around this star? It's always something different. It's always something new, always something that keeps you intrigued along the way.
You know what you also just did? While you were talking about that, you listed off the two largest games in gaming history in terms of map area. No Man's Sky is the largest game ever made in terms of where you can go. And Minecraft, because of its procedural generation, like you mentioned, has that endless map. It's obviously not endless, but it is endless because it's procedurally generated, right? That's why it can be as large as it is. And I'm going to throw a number at you guys. And I actually mentioned this number, and I didn't do my homework. I misunderstood what the number was for procedurally generated planets in No Man's Sky. But the maximum number, and I'm going to read it off to you instead of just saying over this number, I'm going to read it to you in full. That game is capable of generating 18 quintillion, 446 quadrillion, 744 trillion, 73 billion, 709 million, 551,616 planets.
It's
that wild?
It's almost like you hit that number in your head. You can't even get to it. You're like, no way. No, it's to fathom that, My God.
You can hear it, but you can't To your point, you can't visualize that. You can never go to every planet in that game. And it's
I
all
don't
based off
think
of algorithms. It doesn't even exist at that point, but the algorithms create those planets based on where you are at what time, and it's random, but it's virtually endless.
like I don't think the entire player base as a whole could cover that many planets.
No way. No way. It's 18 quintillion.
That's insane.
I mean, how many people are in the world? Is it 8 billion?
I think it's getting, yeah, it's either it was getting to that point or it is now.
Okay. I can't even put that on my calculator. 18 quintillion. I was gonna divide it by 18 by 8 billion, and it's not gonna be. I mean, it's what I'm seeing
like
there, and it's like 2.2 million planets per person. If you had all 8 billion people in the world playing No Man's Sky, they would each have to go to 2.2 million planets to cover the whole game.
Oh, yeah, no problem. I'll do that. We got this, guys. Jeez.
I think in the amount of time that I've ever played that game, I may have gone to maybe 200 or 300 planets.
Yeah, it's nuts, man, when you think about it. I mean, here's the deal, right? So we talked about these big wig games, and we got these small indie games too. So we have, like, well, and not really small, but we have a game like Dead Cells, right? Dead Cells, back in 2018, it was released. It's well known for its procedurally remixed biomes that make the runs feel fresh and fun. It's stupid little things like that that make the biggest difference to the player base, that just make it that much better. I don't think it's a cop out. Some people may think it's a cop out to throw procedure generation. The only way I could see it being that way is if you really didn't care to make your game feel handcrafted in a way. Like, I don't know, it's so hard putting it in like what's in my head right now, putting it into words. It's like taking all these little bits of that you handcrafted for a level, like the platforms, the enemies, the items, the lighting, whatever, that may be. And you take that times 20 different times, 20 different ways, and then you throw it in your game and you're like, so like Splunky for instance. So then you jump into Splunky and every time you go in there, it's different. It's fresh, it's new. And I think that's the biggest thing is just feeling fresh and new, but not feeling too repetitive. Because I think it gets to a point where it's just way too repetitive if you don't have enough. I think it's
Yes.
quantity, and you were mentioning it too. So like for Minecraft and No Man's Sky and all these different kind of games that are just massive and big. Well, it works for that, right? It works because there's so much. There's so much that it feels like everything's new. It's not that repetitive. Where if you had it small scale, say I were to make a game that had I don't know, let's say just 10, even this may seem like a lot, but just 10 different dungeon variants, right? And you jumped into that game and it's procedurally generated every time you beat the dungeon. At a certain point, probably within 2 hours of playing the game, you've already visited all the dungeons and now it's repetitive. Now it's boring,
Yes. 100%. You have to have a good, solid game loop to complement that. Procedural generation is not supposed to be the core of any game design. It's supposed to be a complement of the game loop, to your point.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you feel about procedure generated games in general, Kronos? Do you feel like that's kind of a cop out, or do you feel have you come into a point where you played a game where it felt repetitive, be based on like any procedural generated content?
Yeah, I mean, I've ran into a couple games like where I guess where things would randomly change, but it would be like a small little amount, so it was like you could literally predict like, okay, hey, this is going to be one of these three things or something like that. So it's, I mean, some people like with their games they do it really well. Like as for example, No Man's Sky. I haven't played it, but like the chance of you finding the exact same planet, I mean, 0.1% or sorry, 1% of 18 quintillion is like 180 trillion. Like you have a 1% chance. Like even at a 1% chance, you're not gonna find the same planet.
1 in 180 trillion% chance of finding that same planet. I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah, like that's at just 1%. You take the whole thing, like one out of 18 quintillion, you're looking at like 0.0000, like 1%, I think is what it is. Like so you'll never in your entire life have the same planet. There's no way. Games like that, like y'all said, it offers so much new stuff every time you play that it doesn't get repetitive. But then you got other games like you said too, that do a little bit here and there, but not a whole lot. That after so many times of playing it, you're just like, okay, hey, I know what's going to happen. There's nothing new in this. So they gotta pick a nice balance between like a lot of content, because I mean sometimes it does seem a bit excessive too. Like I mean, for example, we're back on No Man's Sky, 18 quintillion. So it's like one of those things. It's like if people play it, they're like, I'm going to explore all the planets, and then you find out how many there is, and you're like, I'll never be able to do that. So why am I going to keep playing this? It's like it could be good or bad, like Minecraft. Just how big the worlds have gotten. It's like, okay, I can't hardly find the borders of the map anymore without going into creative and flying there. So
Yeah.
I mean, like sometimes it can get to be a bit too much depending on who's playing it. Some people love the randomness that you'll never be able to see everything. Other people, they're like, okay, hey, I want to be able to do all this. I want to see all this stuff. So it can be a little overwhelming, I guess you could say, for them.
Yeah, I can get that. I can get behind that. I mean, I think, and it's funny that you brought that up, Kronos, because I was just about to mention how you also, even with that type of game and having it massive like that, their scope still didn't get out of control when it came to certain aspects of the game, right? So, what I'm talking about is the enemies, right? You have, geez, I forget what the enemies are called in there. The robot dudes. What are they called? Do they have a name? I forget.
Which
In No
robot
Man's
dudes
Sky?
are we talking? There's the Korvax. They're the
Yeah.
robot guys.
So, oh no, not the robot guys, the actual enemies, the robots that come at you when you
Oh, the
are.
Sentinels.
Yeah, Sentinels. There we go. Oh my gosh, I couldn't think of it for the life of me, dude.
No
But
worries.
but like, so think about the Sentinels, right? That does not really get out of control. The enemies are pretty much the same. At least when I've played, they could have done updates and stuff, but like from back when I played, it was when you go and attack like one of their bases for resources, then the Sentinels come after you, right? And then you destroy those Sentinels, and then bigger Sentinels come, and then bigger ones, and bigger, and then you can try and escape, and then they're trying to fight you out in space. So like, but that's always the same. It's always comforting to know in that aspect that that's not going to get too random, and that's not going to get too out of control to where it becomes unfair, and it's not balanced correctly anymore. They did keep certain things in place to make sure that there was structure, but when it came to like the aspect of discovering, that's where it was fun for the procedure generation side. Because I'm sure you guys would agree that to your point, Chronos, you need structure with certain things in the game. There has to be. It can't just all be random, willy nilly, and it's going to be chaos. I mean, I guess you could kind of see how it works, but I don't think it worked very well. All right. So to kind of end this off, which kind of feels weird in an early stage here, we
Right?
are, yeah. I mean, so I want to ask you guys a question on this before we get into the mailbag. Yeah, we're gonna get into the mailbag before we end this, Chronos. Okay, it's just you wait.
That's right. Get
We
them pipes ready, bro.
Yeah, get them ready. So my question is, with procedural generation evolution, where do you guys think it's headed next? Where do you think it's gonna be a big breakout next?
That's a tough one.
You go first, Kronos.
I'm still thinking like that.
Throwing you to the
tough.
Me
wolves,
too.
Chronos.
That is very tough. I mean,
So if you want to think about it, or do you want to go? You got it.
well, no, you said so, and I'm like, I was wondering where you was going with it. Like so.
Yes. so
Oh,
So just jumping in real quick for me. The way I think procedural generation is going is I think if used correctly, we're going to see some good stuff out of it where it comes to these newer games coming out and these next gen games coming out. I think both indie and AAA. I think it's going to be a way for indies to leverage in order to see more AA, AAA to a point when development's been in 5 years and they've created so many things and they can kind of throw, like I said, dungeons together really quick by procedure generating things. And I think that's going to be seen even tenfold with the new technologies coming out and AI help and all that with AAA companies, where all of a sudden you're going to get the next Battlefield, Call of Duty with procedural generated levels. You know, all of a sudden you step through something. I don't know. I can't like picture anything in my head off the bat except for because like it's one of those things you kind of go to what you're used to, right? You go to like maybe you run up to a chest and you open it's a different weapon. Well, that's just RNG from like Fortnite or something. So
Yep.
I think that, but in general, you're gonna see some crazy things from probably indies first, and then AAA will copy once it does well. I think that's how it's gonna work, though, with any procedure generation in the future here, because AAA is gonna benefit from this too. Let's be honest. If they don't have to hire as many people to work on their game in order to get the game up to snuff, then they're not going to. You know, they're gonna hire a bunch of people that can do just enough to put just enough procedural generation in there to make it feel like a full-fledged game. Anyways, on to you
You
guys.
know, I got to thinking about it, and I think I might have played a game that's like that. Procedurally. God, that's a big word for me.
Dude, it's
Procedurally, I can't get it out.
the
Do
Yeah,
PG.
Keep going.
a game that's
Yeah,
PG.
PG game.
Yeah, it's a PG game. Technically, Repo is.
Yes, it is. It's a
Yep.
roguelike, so it is procedurally generated. You're correct.
Yeah.
Also,
Does the map-
Fellbound.
Dude, now that you put it in perspective with that, I mean, yeah, a lot of roguelites are.
Yeah, but yet Repo, the map changes every time you load in. It's always something different. Like for granted, you'll have similar rooms, but they'll be in different connections and all. So yeah, I have played one besides
Yeah.
Minecraft, of course.
There
Well,
you
no,
go.
and Fellbound. We were playing that. We did the.
Yeah.
We met with Point Games and did a interview with him. That's also procedurally generated. It's a roguelite. So lots of.
And then
Yeah.
and say we talked earlier, about some games that were like not fully. So I guess like in a way, Destiny is considered generated because like each time you do a mission, you'll get different weapons. Like they're not always guaranteed to be the same. I don't know
Yeah.
if that would be considered
mean-
fully like that. I mean, it's kind of
I think that's more RNG, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They kind of blur the lines. If you really think about it, what is procedural generation? It's a bit of randomness, you know?
yeah.
Like I said, it's the biggest random, number generator out there, just in a game form. I may be oversimplifying it, but
Yeah, I mean, I
No,
think
I
it's
think
more.
you-
I think you should be oversimplifying it because I mean, it can get really complicated because we're talking about algorithms otherwise, right?
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, like, I think, so maybe a couple games I've played, actually, now that I think about it. As far as where I think it's going, I mean, like, I agree with you. Like, we could definitely start seeing some, especially that, AAA, since indies are really heavily using it. I'm struggling with these words today, man. But since some indies are, real heavy on it with, trying to get the content out there by having a vast majority using PG. So if you, like you said, with like a Battlefield and shooter games, AAA titles start dipping into doing that, could you imagine the difficulty that you would have playing those games?
Oh yeah, man.
You could never get used to the map.
It
So
really
see, that could be one of those cases where it would almost hurt though,
Yeah.
because you got the like the competitive shooter stuff. People get so used to like, hey, I can go here, I can run down this alleyway, I can hold this angle, I can do this, I can jump out this window. You start changing that up every single match, you're gonna have players that just don't feel comfortable with those games anymore. So like, it's back to what we said, they got to be careful with how they use it.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It's almost, it's kind of funny because when it comes down to that, then it no longer becomes a game of memorizing the best locations to be. It really does become a game of skill.
Yeah, for sure. Like
It's a
it's all
speedrunner's
based on
nightmare.
yeah, like it's all based on the player. I mean, it could be. I could see it being beneficial and kind of harmful at the time. It depends. Like an arena shooter, like Halo, I wouldn't think it would be very beneficial. That's just my personal opinion on that. Like,
Why not?
well, because like, I mean, News played it. He knows how it is. It's like you're so used to that, like red team, blue team spawns here. You're gonna be, one side or the other. It's those type of games are all about like developing a plan. Like, hey, if I run to this hallway and grab this weapon, I can hold this angle. Like, and that's what makes people play them is they can have that competitive, like, side of it. And if you start randomly generating those maps that people play on, it's just going to change up literally everybody's play style and maybe make those games less fun for that player base. But then if you take a game like say Apex or Fortnite, like a battle royale game that's you're spawning in randomly, jumping to random places, and you just randomize the whole map each game. I could see that one where people would actually really love it because you never had the same experience twice, regardless.
Yeah. Have you ever thought, think about it this way too. Imagine a Halo map, right? Where you were used to playing all the time, right? On Halo 2, Halo 3, either one, right? And you always remember playing multiplayer and spawning, and at a certain point you knew all the spawn locations, right? Well, imagine every time you jumped in, the spawn locations changed. Like all over the place. Like every time you played that level, the spawn locations were always different. I'm curious if that would be beneficial or not too. It's like one of those like because people are used to structure. Like I said, we've gone into before is like structure. You want structure, so you know at all times that these spawn locations will never change. Those are always the spawn locations for this level. But what if it wasn't? Now a whole new dynamic to the game. Stupid little things like that I could think of being a big difference in games in the future.
But yeah, for sure. And that's what I was saying before, like they got to find a balance. If they use it, they got to find a balance because you can just overwhelm your players too much.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, random spawns, like you'll never know where somebody's spawning from. That sounds awesome, but you start randomly generating the map every single time, that would be crazy. That would just be crazy. Because like I said, you've played them yourself. Like, hey, there's a ramp that leads up behind this building. So if the enemy's up there, I can go behind this building, and there's a ramp that I can get to get up there. So it gives you that ability to try and make those plays. But if you randomly generate the map every single time you load into that map, you're gonna be like, you might see a wall that just clicks in your head as something you've seen before, and next thing you know, you turn right and you're falling off the map or getting shot because there's not a room there that you're used to. Like I don't know. I could just see it being too much for players in
Yeah.
certain games in certain aspects. Like other ones, like I said, the battle royales where it's always constantly kind of random. Taking away those like sit places and randomizing, like, hey, this little place is going to be here and that place is going to be over there, so you always know where these buildings are. But if you randomize it and then you spawn in, you drop in, you're like, hey, wait, Tomato Town was supposed to be here, why am I in Tilted Towers?
Right.
You're going to be like, wait, this is all weird. But at the same time, the game is random to start with, so people won't be, I guess, caught off guard by it if it just started changing up constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. You make a lot of good points, man. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a whole lot to add to this because I mean, I think you guys hit the nail on the head with the good points. I think that the positive though about procedurally generated math, especially for like deathmatch and battle royales and in Halo, but especially in Call of Duty. One thing that pisses me off more than anything when I play Call of Duty multiplayer is friggin' people that decide that they're gonna camp. So if you have that procedurally generated map, good luck finding a place to camp right away. So that's always driven me crazy.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. In order to keep it from being overwhelming, there have to be different aspects. We're going to have to continue as developers to innovate what procedural generation is going to do for us. And I think that's going to come in the form of artificial intelligence as well to help mitigate the portion of being overwhelmed and to maybe find different avenues to make it a little bit more accessible and still get a little bit more hectic without being overwhelming.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, man. Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, now that we've gone through that and finished up with procedure generation, I think our listeners should go ahead and be informed that there is a question in the mailbag from the Discord. But by the way, if you haven't joined the Discord, please do so. You can click in the About section wherever you're listening to this podcast and go in and click on that and join the discussion in the Discord with us. But otherwise, Kronos, mailbag.
Mailbag.
You hear him tuning up the band there. He's like,
He's getting ready. Revving
Yeah,
the voice. Man. So I know we answered Yemi's up there. Oh, Mrs. Maztec, the one, the
excited.
only, asks
oh,
if you were tasked with combining two games, what would they be? And how would it be better? Oh, man, who wants to go first?
I want to go first.
There we go.
You go first, because
I wanna go
we might get
first.
to talking about.
Because I'm going to hit the nail on the head here, boys. I'm going to hit the nail on the head, and it's because of stuff that I've been playing recently on my channel, which is actually unfortunately not indie related, but combining it with something that's unfortunately not indie related. But it's a game that I've been playing and a game that I've been thinking about lately. I've been putting together, facts about Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag that you might not have known, and also rumors, because there's a rumor that they are going to be doing an Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag remake. And a lot of people are kind of up in arms on that because it sounds like they're going to make a lot of changes to the game. Based on this is all hearsay, it's all rumor, and until it's confirmed, we should take it with a grain of salt. But they're going to change it over to that RPG style format like you have from Origins all the way through to Shadows. And that seems to be pissing people off, and I myself included. It's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the naval combat is phenomenal in it. But I was actually wondering, there's a series. It's called Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor and Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Y'all are familiar with those games, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And we did talk about it.
them.
Yes, you've seen them. Okay. We did talk about this briefly. We were talking about the Nemesis system. We talked about this when we were talking about patented game mechanics, and we don't think that that's something that we should have to deal with.
Absolutely not.
So the thing is, there is Monolith Studios, which is owned by Warner Brothers. It has been shut down, but Monolith is the company or is the studio that developed the Nemesis system. The Nemesis system is a hierarchy within the enemies. So the Uruks and the orcs in the game that you fight, you could fight a random orc, and if that orc kills you, it gets promoted in its hierarchy and its rankings, and it can become a captain. It can become an overlord, which is crazy. Like take over its own stronghold. And if you take out one of the orcs, they can come back and try to exact revenge. You can shame them and make them go insane, and they'll attack you and they'll become more dangerous. All kinds of really cool things. And it is a mechanic to the likes I've really never seen before. Absolutely brilliantly. Warner Brothers has the patent to it. It took them 5 years to get it. They got the patent. They shut down Monolith. They had Monolith that was creating a Wonder Woman game. They have since, in February of 2025, canceled that game, and they have no plans whatsoever at this point to use that Nemesis system in any game. They simply have the patent, so no other company, no other competitor can use it, which really just pisses me off 18 different directions. My bunch of assholes. But here's the point of me bringing this up. If you combine that Nemesis system from Shadow of War to the naval combat of Assassin's Creed, how would that change the game? I mean, now instead of having so I mentioned earlier in this podcast that they used a system called the Horizon system, which created, procedurally generated side quests whenever. But to add this dynamic and have captains own their, be in charge of their own fleet, and to physically or actually consciously hunt you down with their armada to come after you to exact revenge or to try to steal from you or or attack you for attacking another crew member or anything like that. That could change the dynamic of the game, and that just triples the replay value, in my opinion. So I think if you would actually, it's kind of like combining Shadow of War with Assassin's Creed 4, but it would be really the engine from Shadow of War going into the naval aspect of Assassin's Creed. And if it's based on individual pirates or individual officers or anything like that, there's no stopping that individual or group of people from disembarking from their ship while you're on land and hunting you down that way as well, because that's how intuitive that system was. I hope that answers the question, Mrs. Maz.
That was good, man.
You want me to go or are you going to go?
I'll go. Sure. Why not? Mine's very simple, not as extravagant as Maz's, right? Mine's based on just two games that I'm like, yeah, I think these two would be good together. And it's funny, I'll explain how afterwards. I think that it already kind of exists, right? I like the games, and unfortunately, as Maz was saying, neither one of these are indie, but one of them is Rune Factory, Guardian of Azuma. It's it's a really good game. It's a farm sim, okay? Shut up. Leave me alone. It's good. Um
Little self-conscious there, new.
Stardew.
I don't know, it's really good. If anyone's played any of the Rune Factory games, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's really good. It's actually one of the first in their franchise that they went into more anime style. Unless you're including their 2D games with the portraits to be kind of anime. I mean, I guess you could in a way, but it's a really good game. It has all of my favorite things of like this oriental style, old school, Japanese, Chinese like era. And you got the old like, and then you have the farming aspect, you have this building aspect. So not just farming, but you have to build your villages out in order to make them successful. So the village grows, and you also have a battle mechanic, and you can go out and battle enemies and bosses, and it's got a lot to it. It's got a lot to it, but I think it's kind of limited, and I think it would be good if it was matched with maybe the scalability or the massive amount of area you can cover as a game like Skyrim or any kind of game like a Skyrim, Fallout. And I'm kind of in Maz's court here with I'm talking about a specific portion of the game, which is the scale of the game itself and the fact of like Skyrim, you look at that mountain, you can go to that mountain. You can go there, right? There's no limits to that. And I think if that was paired with this game, with Rune Factory, it'd be a game changer entirely. It would be like, holy crap, this is amazing. But after thinking about it, I'm like, did I just kind of describe Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in a bit? I
A
think
little bit, but hey, you
a
know
little
what?
bit.
This is the answer to this is your answer to the question. That's
Yeah.
your style. That's what you like, and if you find that you want to combine these two games and you get that, then hey, you get that. It's fine.
I think maybe a little more anime, a little more Japanese old school era than that's what it would be. But anyways, that's me. I think it would be great. What about you, Kronos?
Well, I'm gonna follow the trend of not indie. I hate to say it, but hey, we are gamers. We play games. That's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, buddy.
So, first game is I would take everything from Halo, leave it like it was, and I would mix in all the gore from Gears of War.
Oh,
And I would, that to me, and she asked, how would it be better? You've played it, y'all seen it played. Imagine playing Halo and you just shoot somebody with a rocket launcher and their body just goes to pieces. Like, that would be so much fun. Like, tanks hitting people and just like a red mist. What would not be fun about that? The
It's so
elites, the
great.
grunts, you shoot them, they
Absolutely.
lose arms, they lose their head if you shoot them in the head. Like, that would be so cool. Honestly, I have said that since I started playing it in 2001. I'm like, this game needs, like, you need to shoot them and they just lose parts. That would be my two, is I would combine two of the best shooters out there to make one.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of a simple concept, but I think it would just be really cool.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Mrs. Maztek, for that awesome question. We actually, all three of us, I know, had a lot of fun with that. So it was cool coming up with a kind of
That's
a
cool.
mixed game. So
It's funny. I've been racking my brain thinking about that question. Didn't come up with anything until just recently when I was thinking about, I want to play Shadow of War again.
yeah.
I love that Nemesis system. Wait a second. They're talking about a remake. What if they could do that? But obviously, thanks a lot, Warner Brothers. We can't do that because you guys are stingy pieces of shit. But other than that, though, I thought that was kind of like you say, it kind of organically came to me. Like the less I thought about it, the more sense it started making when I was, kind of, I would say inactively thinking about it, if that's a thing.
It just came to you subconsciously. Maz,
Exactly.
these games amazing together.
Yeah, man, like peanut butter and chocolate, bro.
Yeah, Reese's amazing.
Hell yes.
Cool. All right. Well, and as always, anyone who wants to go ahead and throw your questions in the mailbag, do so, and we will go ahead and read them off on the next episode or the following episode after that. Whenever we get time, if it's a poll or if it's a question, we'll get into it, and you'll get to hear Kronos's lovely voice every time we announce it.
Yeah, y'all better drop some in there. I like singing.
We like you singing. You're crushing it, bro.
Should it?
Hey man, I'm being honest. I'm new to the indie. You know, I'm the oddball.
That's true. Even from the
I'm new to it as well, for the most part.
yeah.
You're not alone,
Dude,
my
yeah.
friend.
Yeah. Have you played this? Yep. Have you played that? Yep. Have you played this? Yep. I'm new to it though. I always get a crack out of that one when Matt says he's new to it though. It's just like half the games we talk about. He's like, yeah, played it. It's really good.
I've had some time.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm over here going, nope, nope.
Well, it's because Maz knows Yemi, and I mean, come on, comparing to Yemi.
If you know
It's like, I
Yemi, you
don't
know
know.
everything.
I see. Yeah, if I'm comparing myself to Yemi in terms of knowledge games, I don't know shit.
Right. It's so true. I mean, I really honestly think that boy has forgotten more than I've known. I really do. I mean, he's a down-to-earth, genuine dude. He's got a terrific podcast, and he just knows his shit, and it's really impressive. Not to gush too much about our boy Yemi.
Yeah. I mean, we know you're listening.
Of course he is.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Well, that's about it. We may have gone a little over the mark. We'll see at the end of this episode, and of course, our listeners are going to be listening to this, and you'll get to see if we hit our mark in the 30 to 40 minute. I think it's going to be more about 40 to 45 minutes for this
I'm
episode.
gonna say 37 minutes.
Ooh,
36.
36.
Low
What is this?
ball.
Freaking Price is Right?
Yeah. Nah. I'll say about
37
35
minutes
and a
and
half.
1 second, Bob.
I'll go to about 35 and a half. I don't know. I'm just feeling
35?
Yeah.
Dude, if you say 36, man. It's
I
like,
would have cut.
I'll just say I'll do 35 then. Well, I won't even do the
Ball busting.
oddball shit. I'll do 35. I'll take a couple minutes off.
I'll make sure I don't cut out a lot, so it's longer, so it benefits me. I'm
so it makes you
kidding.
right.
Yeah. Dude's gonna
Kidding.
be like, it's gonna be 38 minutes. It comes out to like 38 minutes and 10 seconds or something. You know? It's like, oh man, I got it right.
Man, that surprise, guys. Dude, why'd you leave in that long pause? No reason.
All of a sudden, at the end, he's like, well, that's
Oh.
the end of our episode.
Like, okay. Or speed up. All right, guys, well, that's the end of the episode. I can't talk that fast. All right. Anyway,
Okay.
sorry. Enough jabbering. Thanks everyone for listening. We appreciate everyone and everyone in the Discord for your questions as usual and answering stuff with us, discussing things with us. It's always great. If you didn't know, we have our episodes released every Thursday at 5 a.m. Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Time. And until next time, we will catch you guys later. Bye.
That's a wrap.
See you later.